The recent pandemic has hit Russia quite hard. About 400,000 people died according to official statistics, and many experts say the actual number is significantly higher. The state-imposed restrictions fluctuated from too strict to almost non-existent, and some are still used to prevent the opposition from organizing political protests. The vaccination campaign often used intimidation tactics, especially in the state organizations where people could lose their jobs if not vaccinated, and yet the vaccination rate per capita in Russia is one of the lowest in Europe. Due to a substantial diversity in Russia, religious communities reacted differently. The most vocal COVID dissidents were mostly secular people. Depending on their worldviews and politics, they blamed the virus on the 5G technologies, presumed biological weapon of the US and NATO, or refused to acknowledge the virus at all. Most religious communities complied with the restrictions, whether they liked them or not. Some churches, however, claimed the virus was the work of Satan, a God's punishment for our sins, or, most notably, a direct attack on their religious freedom. The triggering issue was not even the lockdowns themselves, when the faithful could not congregate and worship together in person. The most heated debates were around the Lord's Supper, which in most Christian denominations cannot be partaken of remotely. Most Protestant denominations tried to find some working solutions, like organizing individual communions, sending portions of bread and wine by mail, or even doing it remotely over a group call as a temporary measure. The Orthodox communion, however, is too liturgically complex and significant to be partaken of remotely. This led to a series of complications. First, the presence of believers in the same space queuing for the communion, and second, the use of the same spoon with the wine. Although many churches around the world adopted a single-use spoon, some Orthodox clergy and laymen could not accept that any virus could be transmitted through the Holy Sacrament and the wine that, according to the Orthodox theology, literally becomes the blood of Christ. There was no unity over this issue even within the Orthodox Church. Although the leadership, after some hesitation, decided to go along with state restrictions, there were still rebellious groups and individuals who refused to do so. The most infamous story was the rebellion of Sergei Romanov, the hegumen of a female monastery in the Urals region. Born Nikolai Romanov, he has quite a biography. As a young man, after serving in the army, he became a policeman. After 4 years of service, he was fired for a major misdemeanor and started working in a grocery store. In 1984, he committed an aggravated robbery and was sentenced for 13 years in prison. He left prison a devoted Christian and soon after became a monk. During his 2 decades as a monk and the hegumen of 2 monasteries, he became well known for his radical views. He spoke against passports, individual taxpayer numbers, European Union, 5G technologies, Jews, and has been an active monarchist, believing that the rule of a monarch is sacred. When the pandemic started, Sergei refused to comply with restrictions, declared the pandemic fake, and condemned the state and church leadership. For that, he was prohibited to serve by the Patriarch and the local metropolitan, and eventually defrocked completely. Sergei was twice fined by the state court, first for the denial of the virus and second for the hate speech. He attended his first hearing of the church court, but during the second hearing, he and his followers blocked the entry to the female monastery that he was the head of and did not let in the new hegumen. After the second fine for hate speech, he was excommunicated by the church. After Sergei published a video where he claimed that the nuns of his monastery, some of whom were minors, were ready to die for his cause, his monastery was stormed by the National Guard and he was arrested and convicted. He is now serving a 7-year sentence for soliciting suicide and 3.5 years for extremism. Please like the video, leave a comment and subscribe to the channel. I see you all next time.